Chapter 31 Bibi Han vs Xiaoyu and Yen. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After Bibi Han dumped Yuena like trash, shattering her pride, she ran home and bawled. Later, Xiaoyu and Yen found Yuena crying in her room, which they couldn't stand. Nana, who messed with you? I'll go get them. Xiaoyu yelled. Yeah. Yen chimed in, but Yuena just kept crying. Xiaoyu and Yen had to find out what happened. Being a goddess, people paid attention to Yuena. Someone saw Bibi Han toss her downstairs. Hearing this, Xiaoyu and Yen flew into a rage and stormed Bibi Han's dorm, banging on the door. Bibi Han was annoyed. What do you want? Bibi Han, what did my sister do to deserve that? She disturbed my practice, Bibi Han said casually. Just for that, you did that to her? I warned her. If she wants to die, that's on her. Alright, Bibi Han, come down here and fight me. Xiaoyu shouted, furious. Fine, Bibi Han replied. She needed to establish her authority, or she'd have pests bothering her all the time. The students below overheard and rushed out. The news of the fight spread like wildfire. Students poured out of classrooms and headed to the arena. Anyone in the academy could watch these upper-class battles, which were a great way to learn and get motivated. Soon, the arena was packed. People buzzed about why Bibi Han and Xiaoyu were fighting. The guys all cursed Bibi Han, wishing her dead. Some teachers also showed up, lingering near the arena. Some were curious, and some were there because of Yuena, hoping to impress the goddess of their dreams. Every group has its bad apples. If Yuena hadn't been so talented and in an ordinary class, some teacher or leader would have already taken advantage of her looks, but Bibi Han still chose the spirit hall. It was better than the nobles, and more importantly, it offered people a chance, free martial soul awakening, and protection, suppressing evil soul masters. Bibi Han and Xiaoyu arrived at the arena. On the way, the male students chanted, kick his butt, he hurt our goddess. Bibi Han ignored them, pointed at Yen, and yelled, hey, Red, you too. Enrollment had been rushed, and she couldn't remember Yen's name. Red? Yen snapped. My name is Yen, Yen. Bibi Han, I'll take you myself. Xiaoyu frowned. He was the pride of the academy and had his own pride. He couldn't allow a 2-on-1 situation. You alone aren't enough. You and Yen are barely interesting. Get up here. I don't have time for this. Wow, this guy's arrogant. Let's get him, Xiaoyu and Yen. Beat him down, beat him down. The guys roared. Yen, let's do this together, Xiaoyu sighed. This was for his sister, and he wasn't sure he could beat Bibi Han alone. Okay, Yen agreed. Xiaoyu, martial spirit, moon blade. Level 37, strong attack type soul master. His soul rings were yellow, and purple. Yen, martial spirit, flame lord. Level 37, defense type soul master. Yellow, purple, level 37. These guys were probably 6 years older than her, 13 years old. They'd reached level 37. The Spirit Hall's golden generation was stronger than the Shrek's 7 devils, excluding Tang San and Oscar, who used fairy grass. Seeing that Bibi Han didn't activate his martial spirit, the crowd started to boo. He's too scared to show his martial spirit. He's just a clown trying to get attention. Right, Xiaoyu and Yen are the best in the academy. A girl said, blushing as she looked at Xiaoyu and Yen. Xiaoyu said, what's wrong, Bibi Han? Scared? Beg for mercy, but you'll pay. Yen added. Bibi Han looked at them. Scared? Just you two? Bibi Han grabbed her collar, unbuttoned her chest, shrugged her shoulders, and let her windbreaker slide into her storage soul tool. Then she reached out her right hand, and a natural aura exploded. Plant soul masters felt their martial spirits grow restless, and the surrounding plants grew wildly, especially the blue-silver grass. This was Bibi Han's blue-silver god martial spirit's first ability. It increased a plant spirit master's combat power by 10%. With the blue-silver domain, it increased combat power by 30%, but Bibihan's blue-silver god martial spirit's godlike aura absolutely suppressed other martial spirits. All plants below the god level had to surrender, including the blue-silver emperor. Then Bibihan's soul rings appeared. To everyone's disbelief, 3 rings, purple, and black, materialized. The crowded arena fell silent. Xiaoyu and Yan's eyes widened. None of the rings were yellow, and the black ring, vibrating with the resentment of the soul beast, suffocated them. Bibi Han, martial spirit, blue-silver god. Level 35, Almighty Soul Master. Almighty meant it could attack, defend, control, assist, and heal. Blue-silver god had all 5, a Yin's blue-silver emperor had 4 types, lacking assistance. Tang San only had 3 skills, attack, defense, and control. Chapter 32 Easy Victory. You are listening at novelfull.audio. How'd you pull that off? Xiaoyu asked, stunned. Good genes, tough training, Bibi Han replied calmly. That's right, his good genes meant he'd awakened twin god-level martial spirits and started at level 20. Tough training meant he'd endured Master Golden Crocodile's regime and qualified to absorb soul rings beyond the usual level limits. As for Renxue being so powerful, that was all Douluo's doing. Little Renxue's first soul ring was 720 years old, and her second was 999 years old. Nobody with such a respectable angel spirit would dare use the purple second ring, all to keep Renxue safe. The spirit hall had captured those soul beasts and force-fed them resources to get those exact soul ring lifespans. Let's get this over with. With that, Bibi Han waved his hand, and several golden blue-silver grass vines shot toward Xiaoyu and Yen. They reacted instantly. Xiaoyu swung his sharp moon blade, slashing at the incoming vines. Yen yelled, Granite Fist. Suddenly, his hands transformed into huge lava fists, trying to tear the vines apart. Both of them were skilled fighters. Against regular blue-silver grass, those moves would be devastating. But Bibi Han's blue-silver grass was anything but ordinary. Even though only his first soul ring specifically enhanced its toughness, the inherent strength of blue-silver god, combined with the buffs from his other soul rings, made it practically unbreakable. Xiaoyu managed to chop through only a couple of vines before the rest wrapped around him. The same thing happened to Yen. Immediately, both of them felt their soul power draining away, estimating it would be gone in about 80 seconds. That was Bibi Han's first soul skill, a passive ability called Devour, which sucked away 1% of the opponent's soul power every second. Xiaoyu snapped to attention. Yen, we need to end this fast, or we're toast. Yen nodded, and their third soul rings flared. Third soul skill, Crazy Evil Moon. Third soul skill, Melting Flame Transformation. Xiaoyu put away his moon blade, then summoned it again. This time, it glowed blood red and spun at blinding speed, shredding the blue-silver grass around him. Yen donned lava armor, towering at 2 meters tall. The flames scorched the blue-silver grass vines, and he used brute force to rip them apart. Xiaoyu and Yen exchanged a glance and charged toward Bibi Han. Being tied up for those 10 seconds, plus using their third soul skills, had already drained 4 levels of their soul power. And since their third soul skills had a time limit and kept consuming soul power, they had to finish this quickly. Bibi Han waved his hand again, and a shield of blue-silver grass sprang up, completely blocking their view. With a punch and a slash, the shield shattered in just 1.5 seconds, revealing nothing behind it. As Golden Generation candidates, they were experienced fighters and immediately looked up. Bibi Han was holding a hammer in each hand, ready to strike. Bibi Han, without needing a domain, could use the nearby blue-silver grass as his eyes. As they'd rushed in to break the shield, he'd used the grass to see they weren't watching above him. He leaped 10 meters into the air, wielding 2 hammers weighing about 200 pounds each. Xiaoyu dodged the blow, but Yen wasn't so lucky. The hammer connected, and his arm went numb. Xiaoyu rushed forward, swinging his moon blade again, but Bibi Han was faster. He kicked Yen toward Xiaoyu and then hurled a hammer after them. The hammer slammed into Yen, sending both of them flying. After that assault, Xiaoyu was still ready to fight, unharmed. But Yen was spent. Taking that hammer to the chest had left him barely able to stand. Bibi Han then used blue silver grass vines to tie Yen up like a Christmas ham, wanting to see whether the flames or the vines would extinguish the immobile Yen first. In 15 seconds, Yen collapsed, his soul skill deactivated. Bibi Han, meanwhile, was having a blast fighting Xiaoyu with a hammer. Xiaoyu's attack speed was nothing to him. Bibi Han was an experienced cheater. He could let Xiaoyu hack away all day, his soul power would run out before he made a dent. He simply used his soul power to repair any damage. Each of Bibi Han's blows packed serious punch, and Xiaoyu struggled to defend. Finally, Bibi Han saw his chance and hammered Xiaoyu's moon blades out of his hands. Blue silver grass followed up, binding Xiaoyu. After another 10 seconds, Xiaoyu's soul power was completely depleted. The match was over. The onlookers were stunned. The Spirit Hall Academy's two geniuses had been defeated so easily by a kid who was much younger than them. Bibi Han said to Xiaoyu calmly, "It's good to spoil my sister. She deserves to be pampered, but you need to keep her in check too. Don't just throw yourself at every attractive man you see. Especially if you don't know them and don't know if they're bad people, it's disgusting." Bibi Han untied the blue silver grass, then left the stage and headed back to his dorm. On the stage, there are 3 ways to win. 1. To knock your opponent out. 2. To make your opponent surrender. 3. To beat your opponent off the field. Xiaoyu and Yen were awake, and still in the ring. Bibi Han leaving should mean he lost. But nobody thought Xiaoyu and Yen had won. As soon as Bibi Han was gone, the arena erupted with noise. No way. Xiaoyu and Yen lost? What is he? He's so young, so strong, and he already has a soul ring. How did he do that? Wow. He's so hot. Xiaoyu and Yen smiled bitterly. They now knew what it meant to be at the bottom of the food chain. In the crowd, Yuena licked her lips and muttered, "Bibi Han, I've got my eye on you. You will be mine." In a courtyard behind the Pope's palace, Bibi Dong was drinking tea in a pavilion, holding a crystal ball. "Hana really stirred things up on his first day," she murmured. "But why does Hana dislike Yuena so much? A mother knows best." Bibi Dong had raised Bibi Han single-handedly and knew his character. He didn't care about social status, and as long as someone was virtuous, he'd be respectful. If he was hostile, it meant Yuena had definitely done something wrong. Bibi Dong then looked at Nar, who was practicing with her dragon spear in the yard. Nar moved effortlessly, unleashing elemental attacks with the silver dragon spear. After a while, Bibi Dong waved. "Nar, come have some water." "Okay, teacher." Nar bounded over, sat next to Bibi Dong, and grabbed a kettle. "Here, Nar, watch what's happening at Xiaogan's school." Nar looked at the crystal ball, excited. "Wow, Big Brother is so strong. He won against 2 people. Nar, don't you think Hunter started the trouble?" "No way. I believe in my brother. He only goes after bad people," Nar said firmly. "You're silly. I think Yuena is nobody. Not that talented, and her martial spirit is alright at best. There's no competing with my son, apprentice, and daughter. Let Xiaohan do what he wants." Chapter 33. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Back in the dorm, Bibi Han went right back to training. At lunchtime, Bibi Han walked to the cafeteria, noticing his female classmates. Some were desperate for attention, others wanted his autograph, ****. Bibi Han was a little annoyed. He'd wanted to avoid anyone looking for trouble, but it had backfired. Still, he turned them all down. The cafeteria had 3 floors. The first floor was for the top-tier students only, the second floor served the next 3 classes, and the last class, well, you get the idea. If you wanted a better life, you had to work harder. It was all about competition. The food on the 3rd floor wasn't great, but it was nutritious and free. A big sign over the cafeteria entrance read, "Eliminate waste," with a smaller line beneath, wasteful individuals will be severely punished. Bibi Han knew exactly how much he needed to eat. He grabbed a basin, filled it with rice, found a step to sit on, and ate. It was tough eating like that, but it was also part of his training, helping him control his power. Just then, a familiar floral scent drifted by, and it was Yuena again. Can you just give it a rest? Find somewhere else to be? Bibi Han said, sounding thoroughly exasperated. Why? You've been ignoring me since you got to class. Why do you hate me so much? Yuena asked, sounding genuinely hurt. From a distance, Yan's eyes burned with anger, and he ground his teeth, but he was helpless. He couldn't beat Bibi Han. Bibi Han didn't want to explain, and frankly, he couldn't. He released his spirit power, and blue-silver grass formed a dome-shaped shield around him, keeping Yuena away. Yuena looked incredibly sad. She put a hand to her chest to encourage herself and muttered under her breath, Bibi Han, I won't give up. Yuena, you'll win him over. In the afternoon's practical class, the teacher brought out several thousand-year-old soul beasts, some as old as 4,000 years, including dangerous ones like the man-faced demon spider, for the students to fight. You had to admit, Spirit Hall's practical training was intense. Bibi Han immediately chose the 2,500-year-old man-faced demon spider and destroyed it on the spot. A few days later, Bibi Han stood outside a dorm room and knocked. Who dares disturb my training? A haughty voice called out, making you want to punch the speaker. The door swung open. Bibi Han, what do you want? It was Yen, the golden boy touted by countless internet personalities back on Earth. His voice just begged for a fight. Bibi Han cut to the chase. You want to get with Yuena? Yuena had been a major pain in his neck lately. She always managed to show up just when he was about to lose it, leaving him with nowhere to vent his frustration. What did you say? Yen looked stunned. Bibi Han repeated, I'm going to tell you how to get with Yuena. Really? Yen still looked incredulous. Bibi Han was starting to lose patience, but he said, yeah, really. But why would you tell me? Everyone knew Yuena was one of the most beautiful girls on the continent. What guy wouldn't want her? Because, for some reason, I'm not into her, but she needs a place to land. And you're the most suitable guy for her at Spirit Hall Academy. Hearing the word her, Yen flared up and shouted, Bibi Han, let me tell you something, Nana is my goddess, and I won't let you talk about her like that. Boom, Bibi Han punched the wall next to him, leaving a gaping hole. The noise drew a crowd. Think I'm some kind of pushover, huh? Bibi Han's face went cold as he stared at Yen. Seeing this, Yen, who was usually so defiant, flinched back, swallowed hard, and thought, is this guy really that scary? If he hits me with that, I'll be in bed for months. Bibi Han pulled back his fist, his tone changing. Now, I ask, you answer. Okay, Yen said meekly, afraid of getting punched. Bibi Han glanced at the crowd and said, nothing to see here. Go back to what you were doing. The onlookers quickly scurried away. Bibi Han turned back to Yen. Do you like Yuena? Yen answered without hesitation, I love Nana. The first time I saw her, I knew I'd marry her. Bibi Han nodded. I hear conviction in your voice. Come with me. Bibi Han and Yen walked to an empty clearing. Bibi Han looked at Yen. You call Yuena Nana, but I bet every time you talk to her, she just ignores you. And when she does reply, it's always, oh, stuff like that. Right? Yen looked shocked. How did you know? Bibi Han thought, even if it wasn't explicitly stated, it's easy to guess from how she acts. Bibi Han said, if you tried to get with me like that, you wouldn't stand a chance in hell. Bibi Han thought, the other reason I hate Yuena is that she strings Yen along without giving him a clear answer. In the original story, Yuena said she only recognized 3 people, Xiaogang, Tang San, and Tang Yin. And Tang Yin totally eclipsed Tang San because of his good looks, while Tang San's twin spirits were ignored. It's laughable. When did looks become so important in the Soul Master world? Is Yuena already invincible? That's all it takes to become a saint. Give me a break, **in yen, after chasing her for so many years, he's not even a backup. If this was back on Earth, she'd be the kind of girl everyone calls a scumbag, ****. Don't be a hypocrite. It's clear in the story that Yuena never accepts Yen, but she doesn't reject him either, getting back on track, Yen asked eagerly, so what should I do? If you want Yuena to like you, you need certain things. First, a handsome face. Yan's face fell immediately. He was painfully average-looking, Bibi added, that's not the most important thing, though. What matters most is strength. You need the strength to impress her. You also need to be possessive. If another guy looks at her, you need to be ready to threaten him. But Nana's got more talent than I do, Yen said, looking dejected. Hearing that, Bibi frowned and looked at Yen in disgust. Can you show some pride for the guys out here? You're so insecure about your talent. Don't forget, you've got the ancient flame lord spirit, which is top tier. Yuena just has the demon fox spirit. Sure, she has a talent advantage, but you have the spirit advantage. Train harder, and stop worrying about how to get with Yuena and drive off her rivals. If she doesn't even respect you, who will she respect? What an idiot Yen is, he thought. With his natural soul power, he's guaranteed to become a titled Douluo. If he works hard, he might even join the Enshrinement Hull. Bibi considered it unlikely Yuena would join the Hull. Why was she so arrogant? Could Yuena deal with it? If you hadn't read the original story, you'd think Yuena went to the city of slaughter. The domain of the god of slaughter isn't a place for a fox spirit. Chapter 34 Experience. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Got it, Brother Han, Yen said, serious, Brother Han, whatever. Bibi had given him 2 more books, Encyclopedia of Martial Soul Theory and Encyclopedia of Soul Beasts. Skip the theory classes. Just read these. They detail the lifespans and weaknesses of soul beasts. Give them back when you're done, and I'll talk to the teacher. And hey, don't mess up my books. No notes. Bibi added. Why? Just because. If you deface them, I swear, I'll chop off your hands. Bibi tone left no room for doubt. These books were full of notes, written by Bibi and Qian Renxue together. This was precious and she wasn't about to let Yen ruin them. Practice hard and beat Yuena, Bibi finally encouraged. Hearing this, Yen's competitive spirit flared, and he daydreamed about Yuena falling into his arms. Just then, Yuena stepped out of the shadows, tears welling up. Why? She asked Bibi. Bibi had known she was there. He'd said it partly for her benefit, hoping to stop her from bothering him. Bibi's face didn't change. Why? He repeated. Why do you dislike me so much? What did I do wrong? Yuena asked, heartbroken. Bibi remembered Douer's description of the massacre of innocent people by evil soul masters after the fall of Spirit Hall. Bibi snapped, shut up. You don't get to ask why. And I don't like you. I can't like you. Yuena recoiled, burst into tears, and ran off. Nana. Yen started to follow. Stop. If you're thinking of some heroics, forget it, Bibi said. As expected, Yen froze. This might be the shake-up Yuena needs. Keep at it, Yen. Ask me if you need anything. Then Bibi left. Over the next few days, Yen was different. He skipped theory classes, kept to himself in the afternoons, and practiced like crazy, occasionally seeking Bibi advice. Yuena changed too. Bibi knew she stopped hounding him, and he didn't care to know the rest. 5 months later, Yen excitedly told Bibi he had reached level 39, while Bibi was only about to reach level 38. One afternoon, as practical exercises were ending, the dean called everyone together. Gold class students, it's Spirit Hall's duty to keep the mainland stable. The Pope has tasked us with wiping out some particularly nasty bandits. We leave early tomorrow morning. Are you up to it? Yes. The class roared, standing in the crowd. Bibi Han suspected this enemy wasn't weak, probably a test his mother had arranged. The next day, everyone boarded the carriages. Yen skipped sitting with Yuena and joined Bibi Han's carriage. Brother Han, why do you always wear that same coat? For 5 months, Bibi Han hadn't taken off his blue windbreaker. Even the nicest coat would get old, right? Bibi Han didn't answer. He just took off the coat and tossed it to Yen. Here. Ah. Yen yelped and collapsed, uninjured but with tingling hands. Brother Han, you wear this every day. That's not all. My shoes weigh 100 pounds. My bracelet weighs 50, but I didn't wear it today. Wow. Yen was speechless. How could anyone walk in 100-pound shoes? It was terrifying. He understood now that Bibi Han hadn't gone all out last time. It would have been a total wipeout. After several days, they arrived. It was a dark and windy night. The teacher leading the team said, "Students, this is a trial run for the battlefield. Teachers will protect you, but don't think you can slack off. If any student loses their nerve against a stronger opponent, we won't save them. Better to let them die than risk endangering their comrades later. Got it?" The teacher asked sharply. Got it. That's the mountain. Go get them, kids. Everyone, take cover, Bibi Han commanded from the front. Surveying the fire-lit village, he activated his blue-silver domain, sending a blue light wave that scanned everything within 500 meters. Nothing could escape his notice. Domain. Some recognized, whispering in shock. Shut up. Want to get us spotted? Yen snapped. Don't worry, the sound won't leave my area. Li family, Zhang He, Xiaogang San, front and center, Bibi Han said. Brother Han. You 4 are agility types. Take out the 4 guards at the gate. They're low-level soul masters. Quietly. Got it? Bibi Han's voice was firm, authoritative. Understood. Despite some grumbling, no one argued. Activating their martial souls, they transformed into leopards, wolves, and cats, disappearing into the darkness. Seeing the sentinels silently dispatched, Bibi Han was impressed. The golden class of Spirit Hall lived up to its reputation. We'll go in groups of 5. Take them down, but leave the kids and the captives alive. Bibi Han drew a dagger and quietly entered a room, silencing the sleeping soul master. He showed no hesitation, no mercy. He'd already killed in Gingxin City, and Ghost Douluo had beheaded those scum soul masters in the 1st and 2nd ranks. He'd even thrown up back then. Arg! A piercing scream ripped through the night. Enemy attack. Everyone, defend yourselves. The shout, filled with soul power, came from the heart of the village. Bibi Han finished off the last soul master in the room, dropped the knife, summoned his hammer, and charged outside. All the soul masters were gathering in the village. Bibi Han used the eye of truth to assess the situation. There were over 60, led by a soul king in standard configuration. There were also 3 soul sects, several soul masters, and a bunch of great soul masters. This was a serious bandit group. No wonder the useless nobles of the Qiando Empire wouldn't touch them. I'll take the soul king. Bibi Han shouted, ripping off his coat. You Spirit Hall scum, die. The Soul King's martial soul was a long sword. He was about to kill the nearest student. Bibi Han hurled his hammer, blocking the sword, and used his blue-silver grass to yank the student to safety. Come on, then. Bibi Han raised his hammer again and charged. Chapter 35 The Power of the God-Level Clear Sky Hammer, Yu Lao Bibi Han. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Bibi Han confronted the Soul King, demanding, how can you, the majestic Soul King, stoop to such depravity? Bullying innocent people, doesn't your conscience bother you at all? The Soul King just laughed, ah. Soul masters train to become strong so they can do whatever they damn well please. What do I care about those worthless peasants? And women? They're just toys. He wasn't ashamed, he was proud. Scum! Die! Bibi Han roared, bringing down his full power. Think a strong soul ring scares me? I'm the Soul King. I've got a 10,000-year soul ring too. The Soul King countered, raising his sword, clang. 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 The Soul King staggered backward, forced to retreat. Impressive power for a genius from Spirit Hall, but raw strength isn't everything. The Soul King activated his 2,000-year soul rings. Let's see how you handle this. Third soul skill, Crazy Demon Slash. Fourth soul skill, Crazy Demon Dance. That the Soul King's sword attack suddenly became incredibly fast and powerful. When his blade struck Bibi Han's hammer, the sharp edge started to cut through it, cracks spread across Bibi Han's hammer. With a final bang, it shattered. A slash caught Bibi Han across the face, drawing a mix of red and blue blood that dripped to the ground, nourishing seeds that started to sprout. Why red and blue? Because the god-level martial soul changes the blood color. When Bibi Han reaches level 99, his blood will be completely blue, a true liquid azure. The small wound healed almost instantly. Ha! That's all you've got? Well, taking out a Spirit Hall genius before I die isn't a bad deal. The Soul King pressed his attack. Think you can kill me? Dream on. Thunder Domain. A golden aura exploded outward, filled with crackling purple lightning. A golden hammer materialized in Bibi Han's hand. Bang! Unstoppable force slammed into the Soul King's sword. He went flying, crashing through a house and spitting blood. Impossible! The Soul King roared in disbelief. The force of the blow had split the skin between his thumb and index finger. Bibi Han stood his ground, his cloak swirling around him as he swung the hammer again and again. Is that the Clear Sky Hammer? The Soul King muttered in horror. It had only been 8 years since the Clear Sky School had retreated from the world. Some people still recognize the Clear Sky Hammer style. Doomed, Bibi Han stacked his hammer strikes, reaching 30. This was the limit he could control using the Clear Sky Hammer. Any more, and he risked losing control and hurting himself. The Soul King snapped out of his panic and screamed, I won't die. Clear Sky Hammer or not, fifth soul skill, Crazy Killing. He poured all his energy into one final slash, colliding with Bibi Han's Clear Sky Hammer. Boom. The impact created a small crater, but Bibi Han's stacked power was too much. The Soul King's spirit shattered, and the hammer slammed into his chest. The force was so great that he coughed up blood and died instantly. Bibi Han dismissed his martial soul, breathing heavily. If the Soul King hadn't panicked, reaching 30 hammer strikes would have been impossible, and the fight would have been much harder. The weakness of the random cloak hammer technique was still too obvious. If every swing could create an attack, it would be great. Elsewhere, the battle raged on. The bandits had numbers, but Spirit Hall had superior strength and battle sense. Xiaoyu and Yen were holding their own against a soul sect expert, and Yuena was using her charm to confuse enemies, turning them against each other. Bibi Han transformed into a control-type soul master, helping where needed to minimize damage. Finally, Yen used his powerful martial soul's incredible defense to kill the soul sect expert. Suddenly, a flying soul master swooped down from the sky, targeting Yuena. Seeing this, Bibi Han activated his blue-silver domain, using blue-silver grass to create a vine and launching Yen toward Yuena, using the Truth Eye's shattering purple light to speed him up. Just before the attacker reached Yuena, Yen jumped in front of her, taking the blow. Blood spurted as the Soul Master's blade pierced Yen's right arm. Yen! Yuena cried out. Hearing her, Yen snapped out of his pain and confusion, kicking the Soul Master away. He said lovingly, Nana, are you okay? As long as I'm here, no one will hurt you. Yuena looked around, not seeing Bibi Han anywhere. Sadly, her eyes hardened, and she seemed to make a decision. Meanwhile, Bibi Han was on another part of the battlefield, crushing enemies with a hammer made of blue-silver grass. He thought, *Yen, it's up to you to win her over. This is all I can do, After another half hour, the battle was over. The Spirit Hall team had taken some serious injuries, but they had no casualties. Yuena supported Yen, holding his hand. After gathering, Bibi used Blue-Silver God's third soul skill to heal them, pointedly ignoring Yen, so everyone understood, but Yen, bless his heart, tried to heal himself, forcing Bibi to fake exhaustion. So, Yuena bandaged Yen's wounds. Someone then asked, Brother Han, was that hammer of yours really the clear sky hammer? All eyes turned to Bibi, full of questions. The Soul King's claim about the clear sky hammer had been pretty loud, and many had heard it. The Clear Sky School and Spirit Hall were sworn enemies. In that war, many Spirit Hall members had died, some of them probably relatives of the people in his team. Bibi was not surprised by their reaction. Instead of answering directly, Bibi asked, have you ever heard of a golden clear sky hammer? The others shook their heads. The Tang clan had inherited them for thousands of years, and clear sky hammers were always black, blue, or maybe red. Bibi asked again, have you ever heard of a clear sky hammer with a domain? Again, they shook their heads. The clear sky hammer was a top-tier martial soul, but it didn't come with a domain. Then there's no need to doubt it, right? They dropped their suspicions, but still stared at Bibi in amazement. Twin martial souls. Finally, after resting, he sent the captured bandits back to the village, sent the orphaned babies to the local Spirit Hall orphanage, and returned home. A few days later, a handsome young man from the Heaven Do Empire was drinking tea and reading a newspaper. The newspaper was a new initiative by Bibi. It was specifically designed to publish the glorious deeds of Spirit Hall and win the hearts and minds of the people. The handsome young man spoke, but it was a heavenly female voice. Xiaogang is quite powerful, taking down a level 56 Soul King all by himself. Then she said, when are you coming to see me? I'm so bored. I can use this incident to investigate the local sentiments and disrupt the reputation of Spirit Hall, so I can go back to Spirit Hall to see him. Chapter 36. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 20 days later, the final competition kicked off. The entire academy gathered all its students and dropped them into the backwoods of Wuhun Academy. The forest was rigged with photo stones and crystal balls, so the Wuhun Palace Soul Master Academy students and teachers could live stream the action. Each student got a badge. They could team up or go it alone. Rankings were based on how many badges they snagged. Lose your badge, and you were out within half an hour. Sure, the upperclassmen might have an edge, but the underclassmen had age on their side. The golden class capped out at 14, while the regular classes went all the way up to 25. Guess talent isn't everything. It was a total free-for-all, like a battle royale. But here's the thing, in the forest, the blue-silver domain was seriously buffed, maybe even stronger than Renxue's angel domain. Even a soul king like Bibi could take you down with the blue-silver god. Bibi knew the blue-silver field inside and out. First, his blue-silver grass detection was on another level. Nothing moved within 500 meters without him knowing. Second, he could blend all the blue-silver grass and seeds in the field. Third, all plants in the field got a 30% combat boost. His blue-silver god amped up toughness and healing. Fourth, it dispelled 50% of negative effects. Who knew what other tricks he had up his sleeve? That afternoon, everyone gathered on the playground. The dean and several teachers stood before them, and in front of them were 3 chairs, His Holiness the Pope has arrived, a silky voice announced, carrying a wave of authority that swept the crowd. That voice, instantly recognizable, 3 figures floated in and took their places in front of the chairs. First up was Bibi, looking every bit the noble Pope in her robes. The other 2, decked out in red robes, were none other than Douluo, looking uncharacteristically formal. Greetings, Your Holiness, the voices rang out. Everyone dropped to one knee, right hand on left shoulder, including Bibi. He had to play along in front of so many people. Be seated, a commanding voice replied. Everyone stood. Bibi's jaw dropped. Nar was there. She wore a silver palace dress, and her short silver hair had grown into long, flowing locks. With her delicate features, she was a vision, standing right next to Mom. Nar had grown up a lot since the last time he'd seen her, maybe 10 centimeters taller. She glanced around and spotted Bibi Han, flashing him a smile. Immediately, every guy around him turned into a lovesick fool. Then, Bibi Dong began to speak slowly. This competition is the most important event in Wuhun Palace. The winner could become the next son or saint of Wuhun Palace. That sent a jolt of excitement through the crowd. Who didn't want to be a high-ranking son or saint? This is my personal disciple. She will also be participating. Nar, come forward. Yes, teacher. Nar walked over and stood right in front of Bibi Han with a serious look. Seriously, Star, what was Mom playing at? Letting Nar compete seemed like a surefire way to keep her from becoming a saint. After the badges were handed out, the classes split up. Each teacher led their students to the back mountain. Bibi Han naturally brought Nar along, which crushed the hearts of every guy who saw her as a goddess. Nar, what is Mom up to? Bibi Han asked. Nar grinned. I'll tell you a secret, big brother. Okay. Bibi Han leaned in close to Nar's mouth. If I tell you like this, we won't be able to move. Oh, then what should we do? Nar replied, you're so silly. Just pick me up and put me next to your ear. With so many people around? Fine, he would crush these guys' delusions and get them to focus on the task at hand. Bibi Han put his right arm around Nar's waist and pulled her close to his ear. Every male student froze in place, utterly heartbroken. Bibi Dong raised an eyebrow. Where had she gone wrong with this disciple? Did he have no sense of occasion? Big brother, the teacher said that this competition is for me and you to become saints. But there's a catch, we have to collect 95% of the badges from everyone else to pass. 95%? That meant taking them all. That was tough. It looked like it was time to gear up. But don't worry, big brother, I'll help too. I'm level 28 now. Wow, you're amazing. The teacher led the class to a spot, told them to wait, and then announced the start of the game and left. Bibi Han said, alright, everyone, you heard the rules. Good luck. If we meet again, I won't hold back. Nar, let's go. Wait. Someone yelled, not sounding too friendly. Something else? Bibi Han asked. Bibi Han, you're strong, but don't think you're invincible. The guy sounded arrogant. You wear the same clothes every day to show off. It's been bugging me for a while, another added. 10 guys stepped forward to surround Bibi Han. Guys, let me help, Yen offered. Bibi Han waved him off. No need, Yen. Looking at the 10 guys in front of him, Bibi Han said sarcastically, well, isn't this a welcoming party? You think there's strength in numbers? Blue-silver field. Suddenly, countless blue-silver grass vines erupted, binding the 10 guys. Think I'll let you summon your martial spirits? Bibi Han waved his hand, using the blue-silver grass to yank them into a sprawling pattern. It was hard to channel soul power like this, and some of them couldn't even summon their martial spirits. How is this possible? You didn't even summon your martial spirit. They said in disbelief. There are countless martial souls out there. Is it so hard to believe that there might be one that lets you attack without releasing it? You're full of surprises. Feeling their soul power being drained and unable to resist, some started begging for mercy. Bibi Han, please let us go. Please, have mercy. 10 of you. You're practically offering yourselves up. Should I just let you off the hook? Of course, I'm a kind guy. I'll let you go, after I've drained all your soul power. Bibi Han said with mock sincerity. No, please. The guy in front looked like he was about to cry. His soul power was almost gone. After a moment, Bibi Han thought, forget it. These were the future elites of Wuhun Palace, and they had their pride. It wouldn't do to go too far. He released the blue-silver grass. This is a one-time deal. Don't let it happen again. Then, he said gently, Nar, let's go. Nar smiled and nodded. Bibi Dong, watching the scene from afar, looked pleased. A good leader needed to be both kind and powerful to earn respect. Chapter 37 Adult Mind. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Bibi Han led Nar straight to the mountain's peak. The path back to the academy ran across the top, funneling everyone through. Sure, holding the high ground meant risking a siege, but sometimes you gotta roll the dice to win. Hey, Nar, look who's coming. A team of 7. Let's go teach them a lesson. The 7-person team was picking their way through the woods when a voice boomed, I own this mountain, I own these trees. You wanna pass? Drop those medals. Suddenly, 4 blue-silver grass vines shot up, carrying Bibi Han and Nar high above, looking down on them. Bibi Han. The Pope's disciple. One of them gasped, they'd heard the stories. Bibi Han made mincemeat of by Xiaoyu and Yen, and rumors in the gold class said he'd taken down 5 opponents in the Yu competition without breaking a sweat. So, are you gonna make us work for it? Bibi Han asked, cool as ice. Instead of answering, they attacked. Bibi Han smirked, impressed, 2 soul elders and 5 great soul masters. Not bad. Nar, which one's yours? That one, big brother. Nar pointed at a beefy guy, and Bibi Han, using his truth-seeking eyes, winced. That's a level 38 soul elder. His spirit is a diamond bear, pretty tough. I got this, big brother. Nar summoned her spirit, a silver dragon spear, and 2 soul rings, one yellow, one purple, blazed to life. She charged in without hesitation. The sight of those rings sent gasps through the onlookers. Another rank-defying genius. No wonder he was the Pope's disciple. Bibi Han landed beside them, clapping his hands together. The clear sky hammer materialized, its head wreathed in blue-silver grass. He launched himself at the remaining 6, casually swatting a beast spirit great soul master to the ground with a wave of his hand. Then, he formed a blue-silver grass dome, trapping the rest and keeping them from running. He spared some mental energy to monitor Nar's fight outside. Nar and the Soul Elder were sizing each other up. Inside the dome, 5 thumps echoed, and within a minute, all 5 lay groaning on the ground, beaten soundly. The blue-silver grass receded, and Bibi Han watched Nar. Her dragon spear flashed, each strike leaving a bloody mark on her opponent. The Soul Elder's second soul ring lit up. Savage Bear Claw. His palm turned brown and swelled into a massive bear paw. Nar dodged the blow, using her spears to block the powerful arm. For a moment, Bibi Han tensed, then relaxed. Nar spun, using the deflected force to slam the butt of her spear into the man's side. His guard broken, the man clutched his waist, sweating and wincing. Nar didn't let up. She raised her spear, and the Soul Elder went flying, crashing into a tree. To finish it off, she hurled a fireball, setting the guy's fur ablaze. He screamed and surrendered. Wasn't I great, big brother? Nar asked, beaming with pride. You were amazing. You took him down without even using your soul skills. Bibi Han ruffled Nar's hair, using his blue-silver grass to collect the metals and absorb a bit of soul power to replenish their strength. Let's go, Nar. As darkness fell, Bibi Han strolled along, carrying 4 plump rabbits. The mountain was full of spirit beasts, but most were low-level. The older, stronger ones had been picked clean long ago. Time to make camp, Nar. Bibi Han used his hammer to dig a small pit, then unleashed his blue-silver domain, gathering every dry branch and fallen log within a 500-meter radius. Fire time, Nar. Nar tossed a casual fireball, and the wood crackled to life. Bibi Han cleaned the rabbits and started grilling them. He pulled out water and spices from his soul guide. The rules prohibited bringing cooked food, not supplies. A rich aroma filled the air. A few nosy soul masters came poking around, drawn by the fire and the smell, but Bibi Han's blue-silver domain quickly set them straight. He sucked up their soul power, careful to leave them alive, and even created a protective shield around them to keep them safe from rogue beasts. Dinner's ready, Nar. He handed her a juicy, roasted rabbit. Delicious. Nar had a hearty appetite. She wasn't exactly dainty, and her face was soon smeared with grease. Big brother, what's this? Nar pointed to a bottle of red powder. Oh, that's paprika. Can I have some? Nar, it's really spicy. The Douluo continent was different from Earth. The abundance of spiritual energy made the chili peppers here way hotter. Just a little bit. Nar pleaded, seeing her adorable face. Bibi relented and shook a tiny pinch onto her rabbit. Nar ate it, her eyes widening. More. Bibi, distracted with cooking, let her grab the bottle. In her excitement, she accidentally dumped a huge pile of paprika on her rabbit. Hot! 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 She screamed, tears welling up. Bibi quickly gave her water and blew on her tongue. Silly Nar. It's dark. You should have let me do it. He scolded gently. I'm sorry, big brother. I didn't mean to. Nar mumbled, looking contrite, seeing her so upset. Bibi sighed. It's okay, Nar. Give me that one, and I'll cook another. He took the rabbit, not minding the saliva, and started nibbling. Nar's cheeks flushed. After the drama, they finished their meal. Bibi pulled out a blanket and pillow from his storage ring. Time for bed, Nar. After Nar snuggled under the covers, she asked, Aren't you sleeping, big brother? I'll put out the fire and then lie down. He doused the embers, piled up some blue silver grass next to the bed, and settled down. In the darkness, Nar's amethyst eyes gleamed. Actually, big brother, we could sleep together. Her words made Bibi open his eyes and scan her with his mental power. In better light, he would have seen her face was bright red under the covers. He was touched, but he quickly composed himself. No, I'll sleep out here. Nar might be the silver dragon king who'd lived for millennia, but thanks to that mysterious gift, she was currently just a 6-year-old girl. And he was a grown man. He wouldn't take advantage of her innocence. That would be downright wrong. Okay, Nar, no more talking. Go to sleep. Tomorrow's the final showdown. We need our rest. He closed his eyes. 5 layers of blue-silver grass surrounded them. Even the clear sky hammer couldn't break through that in under half a minute. They were safe, outside. Some people weren't so lucky. Some were attacked in their sleep, others stayed awake all night. Spirit masters constantly flew overhead, carrying students to safety. Back at the academy, the instructors watched, unconcerned. To them, a sleepless night was nothing. Chapter 38, The Opponent in the Enshrinement Hall, 3,600 words. You are listening at novelfull.audio. It was a perfect night. Bibi slept like a log, totally refreshed when he woke up, and Nar, sprawled out on the quilt, was out cold, even drooling a little. Bibi pulled out the last rabbit and grilled it for lunch. The delicious smell yanked Nar awake. After dealing with a few more teams, Bibi said, Nar, let's head for the summit. Okay, big brother. Bibi scanned the area with his blue-silver domain and grinned. Nar, looks like we've got a tough fight coming up. Past the thin woods, they found a flat, weedy area. Several people were standing at the passage formed by 2 huge boulders. They were thinking the same thing as Bibi, and they were all soul sects, with pretty good levels. The highest was level 48, and one of them was hiding their spirit power. Even his eyes couldn't penetrate it. Bibi spirit eyes could see through soul masters 10 levels higher than him. The arrogant-looking guy in the middle was either level 49 or a soul king. This kind of strength got him pumped. Hand over your medals, one of the guys in front said, like it was a given. Then, several of them summoned their soul rings, yellow, yellow, purple, and purple. Bibi wasn't intimidated. Instead, he chuckled. Ha, hand them over. Then we'll just go back down and grab some more. Should we bring them back to you when we're done? Just a couple of soul sects. Big brother, let me go first, Nar piped up. Nar, these are soul sects. Bibi Han looked concerned. Brother, I want to show you my true strength. Nar pumped her fist, her eyes determined. Seeing her resolve, Bibi Han nodded. All right. You two, fight me. Nar walked forward slowly, her two soul rings appearing, and pointed her silver dragon spear at them calmly. The two guys were shocked by Nar's soul ring setup but hesitated because Nar was the Pope's disciple. What if she got hurt? Bibi Han didn't give them time to overthink it. He activated his blue-silver domain, and the vines tripped them. Nar charged forward instantly. One of the guys wielded a meteor hammer spirit, and the other let out a wolf howl. Nar went on the offensive and stabbed at the meteor hammer guy. He flicked his wrist, trying to knock the spear aside, while the wolf guy reached out with his clawed hands, wanting to grab Nar's shoulders, clearly not wanting to hurt her. Between her being the Pope's disciple and, well, just looking like she did, who would want to hurt such a beautiful girl? But Nar wasn't pulling punches. Her dragon spear could unleash elemental attacks, and she blasted a thunderball that shocked the meteor hammer guy. Still, the hammer's momentum kept it moving, and it clipped her. Nar's dragon spear went off course, but she was a skilled fighter. With another push, she jammed the spear into the meteor hammer guy's armpit. For the wolf claws, he stepped hard, borrowed the power of the wind element, jumped 10 feet in the air, and threw the meteor hammer soul master in a circle in the air, and hit the wolf soul master. His movements were smooth, without any unnecessary action. Then, Nar's first soul ring glowed, and she swung her spear 3 times faster, hitting the 2 soul masters with several stealth attacks. No, the first soul skill, Wolf Howl, that the wolf soul master opened his mouth wide and let out a deafening howl. Waves of sound blasted out, forcing Nar to abandon her attack, cover her ears, and scramble back. As she retreated, she flipped the dragon spear and unleashed a water jet. The water wasn't lethal, but the high pressure could cut through rocks. Nar's water jet didn't have that kind of power, though. The meteor hammer spirit master recovered from the paralysis and activated his first spirit ring, Meteor Break. The meteor hammer in the hand of the spirit master doubled in size and easily defeated Nar's water gun. The first clash ended without a clear winner. Well, maybe Nar was giving them a break. It's still tough for a great soul master to take down 2 intermediate soul sects, Bibi Han muttered. Luo-kun, we can't hold back anymore. We almost blew it just now, the meteor hammer guy said. Let's wrap this up quick. We can't afford to be nice. Alright. The third soul skill, Wolf Walks the World. The third soul skill, Wind Step. Nar, watch out. Bibi Han yelled. Brother, don't worry. When they were 10 feet away from Nar, a 7-colored light burst out, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. The elemental domain. Nar could easily conjure any element inside, and elemental attack damage was boosted by 300%, everyone gasped. A domain. Bibi Dong and Ju Ghost Douluo smiled. This is too easy. Inside the domain, fireballs and thunderballs rained down from every direction, and Nar vanished. This was Nar's spatial ability, letting her teleport anywhere within the elemental domain. Bibi Han, watching with his real eyes, couldn't help but feel sorry for the 2 guys. Not only did they have to dodge the elemental attacks, but they also had to be ready for Nar to pop up and strike at any moment. After 20 seconds, the elemental domain faded, and the 2 guys lay battered on the ground, bleeding and bruised. Nar, exhausted, stood clutching her dragon spear. Bibi Han rushed to Nar and gave her some spirit power, praising, Nar, you were amazing. Don't you think that was a bit much? The arrogant guy in the middle snapped. A bit much? I wouldn't say so. It's just a little superficial. If Nar wanted to stab them with a dragon spear, they would have died long ago. Just find a healing soul sect for this injury and lie down for a day. But I think 2 soul sects can use it. It would be a shame to be unable to defeat all the major soul masters with all your strength. Bibi Han spread his hands dismissively. Okay. 5 soul rings appeared on the man's body. Yellow, purple, and black. A staff materialized in his hand, carved with dragon designs. My name is Mtln. Come on, Bibi Han, show me if you have the strength to embarrass your master, the man said coldly. Don't anyone interfere, he ordered. Coiling dragon staff, I see. You've reached the Soul King level at just over 20. You haven't disgraced your ancestors. Bibi Han replied, with that kind of talent, that level, and the coiling dragon staff spirit, Mtln would probably become a level 95 title Douluo someday. Mtln snorted. Bibi Han summoned the clear sky hammer with his left hand. Let's go. Mtln didn't use any soul skills. He just kept twirling the coiling dragon staff, aiming every strike at Bibi Han's vital spots. The bulky clear sky hammer made it difficult for Bibi Han to block. Mtln taunted, is that all you've got? What are you thinking? I'm just warming up. The clear sky hammer in Bibi Han's hand shrank suddenly, making it easier to swing. He swung the hammer up, hitting the coiling dragon staff. Then, he spun around, and the hammer head grew bigger again, aimed at Mtln's chest. Mtln quickly went on the defensive, holding the coiling dragon staff in front of him. Bang! Mtln stumbled back 5 meters. Your hammer can change size at will, he said, astonished. If it just added weight, wouldn't that be disappointing for a god-level martial spirit? Hearing that, Mtln's first and third soul rings lit up. The coiling dragon staff in his hands extended rapidly, and black flames erupted from the head of the staff. That trick won't work on me. He used the blue-silver divine martial spirit with his right hand, and blue-silver grass vines burst from the ground, entangling the coiling dragon staff. Bibi Han stepped on the staff and charged forward. You can use 2 martial spirits at once. Mtln exclaimed again, ignoring his surprise. Bibi Han swung the hammer at Mtln's head. The blue-silver grass forced him to pull back the coiling dragon staff to block the powerful blow. The force made Mtln buckle to one knee. Bibi Han spun around and struck sideways, sending Mtln rolling back several meters. How is this possible? How could I be in such a mess? Mtln said, his confidence shaken. He unleashed his ultimate move, 5th soul skill, coiling dragon to kill. Mtln tossed the coiling dragon staff into the air, and it transformed into a massive, 10-foot-long club. Mtln grabbed the coiling dragon staff and hurled it at Bibi Han. Bibi Han smirked. This was exactly what he wanted. Bibi Han channeled all his spirit power into the clear sky hammer. The 1,100-pound hammer became 5,500 pounds. Bibi Han jumped up and left 2 footprints on the ground. He swung with all his might, using his waist as the axis. Boom! Mtln went flying, along with his staff. The coiling dragon staff shrank back to its original size and slammed into a small rock mountain. Mtln crashed to the ground, spitting up blood. When facing a soul master with the clear sky hammer spirit, even if your soul power is much higher, never go head-to-head with the clear sky hammer. Boss! Boss! The 4 soul sects summoned their martial spirits and rushed to his side. Blue-silver domain and thunder domain, activate. The 2 domains spread out, engulfing the group. Blue-silver grass erupted from the ground, attacking them. The thunder domain slowed their reactions, and they didn't have time to use their soul skills, forced to rely on their martial spirits for defense. Bibi Han jumped on the blue-silver grass and hammered them one by one. The Soul King and 6 soul sects were all wrapped up in blue-silver grass and defeated. Mtln, tied up like a rice dumpling, asked in disbelief, why? Arrogant soldiers always lose. If I had to guess, your elders specifically told you to come here, right? Mtln paused and nodded. You're a genius, no doubt about it, but you're only a cultivation genius. It's normal for a genius to be proud, but you can't be arrogant and underestimate your opponents when you don't even know what they're capable of. And as for why you're just a cultivation genius, it's because your character stinks. The moment you're at a disadvantage, you lose your cool and go for your biggest move. Have you forgotten the characteristics of my martial spirit? Facing it head-on is just plain stupid. Practice. Don't lose the face of Lu Qi's worship. These words are transmitted by Bibi Han. Li Yuntian thought for a moment, understanding. Bibi Han then sneered at the guys around him. Some of you have wasted your entire lives cultivating. You panic so much when your boss loses that you don't go back to the Pope's palace to train and hone your skills. To be honest, if these guys hadn't panicked, Bibi Han might not have been able to deal with all four of them. He didn't have much spirit power left. In fact, to be honest, I can't blame them, because after my mother became the Pope, the Enshrinement Hall and the Papal Hall split, and the families of these people followed the Enshrinement Hall. Therefore, their juniors did not come to Wuhun Academy. How good do you think you can be if you practice at home and under the care of your elders? Those guys from Tiando team, are just trash among the trash, but these people are much better than them. If you polish them, they will definitely become the backbone of Wuhun Palace in the future. Bibi Han's words were intended to urge those who followed the Enshrinement Hall to quickly return to the Pope's Hall, take part in training, and improve their strength. Outside, Bibi Dong wore a proud smile. She couldn't wait to see the looks on the faces of the priests and family members who had opposed her when they saw this. Their best disciple, defeated and lectured by her own son and apprentice, after replenishing their spirit power, Bibi Han and Nar gathered the tokens and threw them across the stone path. They were just there to stir up trouble. They weren't trying to steal the Holy Son's title. Their talent was a million miles behind. These guys had grabbed a ton of medals, though, over 600. They had probably been collecting them from the start of the competition. Chapter 39. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After the fight, Bibi Han pulled up a couple of chairs, plopped down with Nar, and chilled out with some juice, kicking back while they waited. Talk about taking it easy. They'd handled those two soul masters who showed up and sent them packing. It was getting close to noon, so they should be wrapping things up soon. They already had 1,000 medals. The last strong team should be heading out. Sure enough, Yan, Xiaoyu, and Yuena showed up in the distance. As they approached, Bibi Han asked, practically bouncing, "You guys must have racked up a ton of medals, right?" Yan replied, "We only managed to snag about 150 or so, Brother Han." Bibi Han's eyes lit up at that. Sweet. So, are you just handing over the medals, or do I need to get a little rough? No sooner were the words out of her mouth than Yuena stepped forward, glaring at Bibi Han with ice-cold eyes full of hatred. Bibi Han loved the look. Noticing that Yuena was standing closer to Yan than Xiaoyu, she thought to herself, Yan, you'll be facing Tang San in 6 years. You better lock down Yuena before then, star. Bibi Han, we finally meet, Yuena said, her voice like a razor. Oh, and? Bibi Han remained seated, swirling the juice in her hand. Seeing that Bibi Han still wasn't taking her seriously, Yuena's eyes turned even colder. After the humiliation last time, I vowed to wash away that shame with your blood. Good for you, but based on your current strength, you're just wasting my time. Even the three of you together don't stand a chance. It had been half a year. Xiaoyu was now at level 39, Yan was peaking at level 39, and Yuena was at level 37, while Bibi Han remained at level 38. So, you think we can't do it, huh? Aren't you even a little curious about how we managed to get over 150 medals? Yuena continued, a smug look spreading across her face. The three of them had earned a total of 158 medals, exceeding 15% of all the medals out there. That kind of record gave Yuena something to brag about. Bibi Han just smirked at Yuena. Why would I be confused? Nar and I grabbed 1,000. Here, let me show you. Bibi Han tossed out a sack overflowing with medals, glinting in the sunlight. Xiaoyu's face twitched, and he smacked himself again. Yan looked at Bibi Han with admiration, thinking, he really is the man. Yuena's icy expression immediately turned red with anger. Brother, let's go. Xiaoyu and Yuena both released their martial spirits. Xiaoyu's body slammed into Yuena's. The moment they connected, a red light enveloped them, fusing them together. With a flash, the two became one, an androgynous figure with long, flowing hair, wielding a moon blade in each hand. Bibi Han, prepare to die. The voice, neither male nor female, echoed from their fused form. Seeing this, Bibi Han finished her juice and started walking towards the fused demon. She wanted to see the demon who beat up Tang San in the original storyline. A red mist spread, engulfing Bibi Han. It would reduce her senses by 40%, suppress her soul power by 40%, and slow all her actions by 40%. Then, the male-female voice boomed. It was this martial soul fusion technique that allowed us to defeat countless opponents, whether they were top-tier soul sects or teams of a dozen. Now, it's your turn, Bibi Han. Bibi Han activated her eyes of reality, gazing at the demon approaching her. To be honest, Bibi Han wasn't all that impressed by this martial soul fusion skill. A simple activation of her blue-silver domain would instantly disperse the red mist, but she decided against it. Without the red mist, Yao Mei's strength wouldn't even match Li Yuntian's. You wouldn't even be able to use soul skills at all, so it was more challenging if you didn't dispel it. Bibi Han stretched, testing her current mobility, then crooked a finger at the demon and said, "Come at me. You can see me through the red mist." The demon said, surprised. Surprised? Yuena, you might be proud, but you're not even close to top-tier talent. I'm talking about you. Without your mother's constant support, what would you be? Yuena bristled with anger, manipulating the demon to charge at Bibi Han, calves first. The moon blade slashed down, showing no mercy. Ha! Bibi Han simply sidestepped. Bibi Han then easily dodged several more attacks. Is all you can do is dodge? Yao Mei taunted. No, I'm just confirming something, Bibi Han replied. Confirming what? Yu Mei was confused. Your skills aren't as impressive as I thought, Bibi Han said with a grin. Since her mother never took Yuena as her apprentice, it was impossible for her to have the skill to beat Tang San in the original work. On the other hand, Nar had all kinds of tricks and leverage. Bibi Han summoned the clear sky hammer with her left hand, no longer restricted by the blue-silver grass. Your hammer really is the clear sky hammer. Yao Mei exclaimed. So what? Bibi Han pointed the hammer at the monster, unfazed. Take this. Bibi Han raised the hammer and swung. An ordinary clear sky hammer without a soul ring at the soul sect level can still fight against the moon blade at the soul king level, not to mention Bibi Han's hammer, and Bibi Han's power is also stronger. The monster was defeated step by step. At this time, Yu Mei retreated and threw a moon blade. Bibi Han knocked it away, then jumped up and hit Yu Mei with a hammer on the top of her head. Yu Mei met the attack with one hand and was directly pressed to her knees. However, Yao Mei smiled evilly, and the heart attack was intentional. He moved his left hand backwards, and saw the moon blade that had been hit by Bibi Han fly back, preparing to cut off Bibi Han's shoulder. Bibi Han also smiled evilly. He had long been trained to attack from behind. He took back the clear sky hammer, squatted down, and rolled up his legs several layers with blue-silver grass. Then he put one hand on the ground and kicked the monster in the belly with both feet, facing the attack of the moon blade and Bibi Han's feet. Yao Mei took the moon blade with one hand and chopped off his legs with the other hand. However, his legs were rolled around by the blue-silver grass several times, so he was not worried about the moon blade at all. Gotta open. Then Yao Mei was kicked hard by Bibi Han, and her body flew backwards in a U-shape. Bibi Han summoned the Haotian divine hammer again and said calmly, your martial soul fusion skills are only so strong, which really disappoints me. Don't get cocky. I have one last trick, the demon said, wiping blood from his mouth. Taking a deep breath. Yu Mei didn't seem to be in a hurry. She stared at Bibi Han and said, you are the first person to face my self-created skill. You should feel honored to be defeated by it. Bibi Han showed no emotion, but inside, she was cracking up. It was just a self-created soul skill called Yuanyu. It looked like it was really powerful. Feast your eyes on the full moon. The demon moved, spinning like a whirlwind. In an instant, the demon and the two moon blades vanished, leaving only a giant white disk in their place. You should also feel honored. This is the first time I'm unleashing my second soul skill. I don't know if it will be the last time. Blue-silver shield. Rows of blue-silver grass formed a shield, surrounding the demon. If the demon wants to attack Bibi, it can only cut through these shields, which consumes soul power and can also reduce the rotation force of the demon. The shield made with the second soul skill blue-silver grass is much stronger than the shield made by Bibi using blue-silver grass. If he is not facing the full moon, he may not necessarily use it. For the full moon, Bibi didn't take much of it to heart, because the principle was the same as the top he played with when he was a child. The firing bar of the full moon was maintained by the demon's soul power. As for the so-called lack of flaws, that is even more ridiculous. It is impossible for any trick to be without flaws. If you can fly, the demonic red mist and the full moon will be useless. As the demon sliced through the shields layer by layer, Bibi began layering random cloaks, doing two things at once, continuing to build shields. After 32 hammer strikes, the demon finally broke through all the shields and attacked. Of course, this was intentional on his part. The full moon, already weakened, was no match for Bibi Haotian divine hammer. The demon immediately disintegrated and flew backwards. The red mist dissipated. Xiaoyu and Yuena were both badly injured, spitting blood with broken arms. Bibi only felt a slight numbness in her arm. The battle was over. Chapter 40 Becoming a Holy Son. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The loud noise brought Nar and Yan's fight to an abrupt end. Yan was beyond frustrated fighting Nar. His flames were useless, even turned against him. His attacks were too slow to hurt her, while he was constantly getting smacked around by Nar's dragon spear. Nar was clearly holding back, or Yan would have been down for the count ages ago. His defenses were no match for the silver dragon spear. Nana. Seeing Yuena collapse, seriously injured, Yan rushed to her side, using his soul power to check her condition. He sighed in relief when he realized she had only passed out. Then he saw her broken left hand. Brother Han, why did you hit her so hard? Yan demanded, furious. Get a grip. If I'd really hit her hard, it wouldn't just be a broken hand. It's just a fracture. Don't overreact. Bibi then used her third soul skill, blue-silver holy light, to heal them. Turning to Yan, she said, give me the medals. Yan obediently handed them over. Looking at the 158 medals, Bibi smiled. The exercise was finally over. Yan, what are you waiting for? Give Yuena a piggyback ride. Or are you waiting for her to wake up by herself? Without waiting for Yan to respond, Bibi grabbed Nar's hand and headed toward the academy. The remaining medals were irrelevant now. Meanwhile, three figures watched them from above: Pope Bibi Dong, Ju Douluo, and Ghost Douluo. Your Majesty, that demon soul fusion skill is quite something. Even my spiritual power couldn't penetrate that red mist, Ju Douluo commented. It's limited. That fusion skill is useless in a battle between title doyuos, Bibi Dong replied. Seeing the confused looks on the two title doyuos' faces, Bibi Dong elaborated, the demon's power lies in the red mist, which can suppress a good chunk of the opponent's strength. But after the martial soul fusion skill, Xiaoyu and Yuena can't use any of their soul skills. The red mist only covers a small area, and title Douluo battles usually happen in the sky. Ju Douluo and Ghost Douluo immediately nodded, understanding dawning on their faces. Bibi and Nar had already reached the gathering square, where about 90% of the school's students were assembled, with more arriving constantly. After he and Nar finished grabbing the medals, the competition had been declared over. This whole thing was set up for him and Nar to become the holy son and saint daughter, with everyone else just along for the ride. It sounded harsh, but frankly, with their talent, the others just didn't have a shot at those titles. As for the original saint daughter, Yuena, without her mother's constant coddling, she was nothing special. She was nowhere near the level of her mother's generation or Xiaoshue in this generation. Honestly, it wasn't that cruel. Even if they couldn't become saints, the training was still beneficial, more so than the usual year-end competitions. Soon, the crowd was complete, and Bibi Han and Nair stood at the front. Bibi Dong rose from her seat. I announced that the winners of this competition are Bibi Han and Nair. They collected a total of 12 medals, accounting for 95.8% of all medals. They are the undisputed champions. Congratulations. Everyone applauded, their eyes filled with shock and admiration. Second place goes to Li Yuntian's team, with a total of 853 medals. Hearing this, Bibi Han's confusion cleared up. No wonder Li Yuntian had been bragging about how many medals he had. Bibi Han had been wondering how anyone could have gotten that many medals when he had grabbed almost all of them himself. It seemed the rankings were skewed. Third place goes to Yan, Xieyue, and Yuena, with a total of 158 medals. Before the competition, I said that the winner would likely become the Holy Son and Saint of the Spirit Hall. The Elder Palace will give their decision after further discussion. That concludes this competition. 3 days later, all the elders, except those in seclusion, gathered in the Pope's palace. Bibi Han and Nair entered. Bibi Dong spoke. The elders have all seen the video of the competition, correct? Any objections? The elders shook their heads, indicating they had no objections. I now announce that Nair will be canonized as the current saint daughter of the Spirit Hall, enjoying all the rights of a saint. Bibi Han will be the current Holy Son of the Spirit Hall, but whether he can enjoy all rights remains to be determined. Bibi Dong's tone took a less enthusiastic turn. Bibi Han thought to himself, this is just some BS about my background. Just tell me who's causing the fuss, and I'll beat them to a pulp later. After the ceremonial robes and tokens were distributed, Bibi Dong dismissed the meeting, and she, Bibi Han, and Nair returned to the Pope's palace. Honor, do you blame Mom? Why would I? I just can't attend those important meetings. I can still mobilize the rights of other saints. It's just the old guys don't fully trust me yet. That's understandable. It'll be fine down the road, Bibi Han said, not particularly bothered. I'm glad you see it that way. It really is about your background. The 3 upper sects, especially the Clear Sky School and the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Clan, are obsessed with bloodlines. They don't trust outsiders. These beliefs are deeply ingrained. Well, that won't matter going forward. I was raised by you, and I don't care about their archaic prejudices. By the way, Mom, what training should I do next? Bibi Han asked. His mother replied, practice needs to include rest. You haven't had much downtime in the last 6 months. Go to the Hall of Worship. Someone is waiting for you there. On his way to the Hall of Worship, Bibi Han felt uneasy. He asked me to rest but told me to go to the Hall of Worship. What could those old fogies possibly want besides more training? Entering the hall, Bibi Han saw no one. He then bowed to the angel statue, respecting it not for its power, but for the angel god's contribution to the continent. Suddenly, a pair of soft hands covered Bibi Han's eyes, and a gentle voice whispered, "Guess who?" "Xiaoshue, you're back." Bibi Han exclaimed, surprised, removing her hands. A sweet voice filled Bibi Han's ears. "How did you guess it was me right away?" "Easy. These hands are clearly a woman's, and the only woman allowed here besides Mom is you." Bibi Han turned to face her. Bathed in the glow of the angel statue, Renxue's already stunning face was even more radiant, leaving him speechless. Renxue was thrilled to see Bibi Han staring at her in awe.